Good morning. Do you think that faith is a choice? What do I mean by that? We all have choices every day, how we're going to view things. I really believe that we have the capacity to choose to view life through the lens of faith, which says that God has got this, that God is bigger than this. Now, if all I believed in was the material world that we live in, then I couldn't believe that. Then I got to just harp on something real quick. Been reading some things by some atheists, and they say that they only believe in what they can prove in the natural world, and they don't believe in anything supernatural. And yet, science does not have the answer for the origins of life nor the origins of matter. And I'm not going to go into it a whole lot, but if we're here on planet Earth and you take a look around you, there's a whole lot that science cannot explain. And science explains a ton to us. And to me, it's all to the glory of God. But to choose to believe, it's our choice. This is a powerful testimony that Max Lucado shares, and he shares it with permission. But he was on a flight one day, and somebody tapped him on the shoulder, and they handed him a message that they just kind of jotted down. They obviously knew that Max was a pastor, and they wanted to share their story. And they'd been through something very tragic. And probably many of you who are listening, you've been through something tragic at some point. Most all of us have been. What he said was, in this note, this man said that 6 summers ago, his wife Lynn and himself, they buried their 24-year-old daughter who'd been on life support for 2 weeks. I've walked through that with families where loved ones are on life support. It's a very difficult thing to walk through. He said that friends rallied around the family, and he said that there's a country lawyer that encouraged him. He said, God means you good, not harm. That was just one of the many voices, he said, that spoke to us, that God means you good, not harm. Well, eventually they were faced with the choice to unplug their daughter from life support. And he said it was excruciating to do that. The decision was painful, but they were confident they were doing the right thing in laying her in the arms of a mighty God. His best work may not have been restoring our daughter Erin to this life, but his assistance for my wife Lynn and I to let him have her. God gave them the grace to let go. I'm not saying that they're not grieving. I'm not saying that they're not hurting. He's not saying that. But it was a pretty simple decision. Either you hang on to something that's not going anywhere, or you give your daughter to God. So he made our daughter better than new. He restored my Erin in his eternal presence. That is his best work. Our faith is getting us through this. And then he closed it by saying, faith is a choice. What are you struggling with today? What can you choose to say, do you know what? I believe that even in the midst of things that are horrific, that I can give thanks not for them, but in them. That's what Paul says to the church at Thessalonica in chapter 5. Give thanks in all circumstances, not for them, but in all circumstances. It's so important to give thanks, and you're probably watching this on Thanksgiving Day, and maybe you feel this Thanksgiving you don't have anything to be grateful for. But if you bring a sacrifice of praise to God, that is your choice. That will be something very pleasing to God today. God bless you. May your Thanksgiving, may your whole holiday season be one that points you much closer to Jesus. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful season.